What is going on, snooker fans? Welcome to 2024. And the turn of the year only means one thing for us, and that is that the second biggest tournament, in my opinion anyway, is about to get underway in London for the Snooker Masters. It's an unbelievable tournament, even to watch from the TV, but to watch live is incredible. I've been to Ali Pali 5 times now. I've got some incredible experiences from there. I've seen my hero, Neil Robertson, twice, and he won both times. So, Neil, if you're listening and, you want to give a free ticket away as a good omen for your match, I'm here, I'm listening. I've seen Marco Fu make a 147. I've also seen an incredible match between Trump and Fu. Look, it's an unbelievable place to watch snooker. Up there with the Crucible and the Tempodrome in Germany. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't been there already. Definitely add it to your bucket list. But in this video, I'm going to take a look through the main draw and predict all last 16 matches. So starting at the top of the draw, we've got defending champion Judd Trump, who should be opening up the tournament, but for some reason this year, he's not the first match on. Usually every Sunday, 1 p.m, it's defending champion kicking off the tournament, like it should be in any tournament. But for some reason, Judd and Kyron, they're playing Tuesday 1 o'clock instead of Sunday 1 p.m. But look, apart from that slight complaint, this on paper looks like a really good match. But if you look a little bit deeper into it, I kind of think that this is a bit of a mismatch, to be honest. I've got no idea what kind of form Kyron's in. I don't know where his game's at, whether he's been putting any practice in over the sort of Christmas, New Year period. But the season hasn't really been as convincing for him. He's not really targeted any tournaments, made many deep runs in anything. And he's playing Judd, who's won 3 tournaments, been runner-up in another 2. Obviously defending champion here. And Judd is a player that absolutely thrives in these occasions. The big tournaments, he loves playing at the Masters in front of a big boisterous crowd, which London always provides. And then ever since Kyron beat Judd recently, if you look at their head-to-head, Kyron beat Judd at the World Championship when Judd was defending champion. But since then, the head-to-head heavily favours Judd, and he's got some really convincing wins in there as well. They've played twice at the Masters. Judd's won 6-2 on both occasions, and that's the scoreline I'm going to go with again here. Like I say, I just think this is a bit of a mismatch. I think form-wise, one player is clearly way ahead of the other, and I can only see Judd progressing here. So yeah, my prediction is Judd 6, Kyron 2. Then next up, we've got a really intriguing match actually between Mark Williams and Ali Carter. Mark Williams, runner-up last year. Ali Carter reached his first Masters final back in 2020. He lost that as well to Stuart Bingham. Both really experienced players, of course, but both not the strongest at this particular tournament. Williams has won the Masters twice, but his last win was back in 2003. And then last year was the first time he'd reached a final since winning. So 20 years in between 2 finals. And Ali Carter, as I say, only one final a few years ago, lost that as well. But both players, decent form. Both have won tournaments this year. And for me, even looking at the head-to-head is very close between them. Not much to separate the players at all. This match is entirely down to gut feeling. And my gut is just saying that Ali Carter is playing slightly stronger from what I've seen recently. So I've gone Carter to edge this match 6-4. Then up next, we've got Mark Selby against Robert Milkins. Again, when you look at it on paper, it kind of feels a bit of a mismatch. But interesting for Mark Selby in his Masters records. In his first 7 appearances at the Masters, he reached a final 5 times. He won 3, lost 2. But then since winning his most recent Masters in 2014, he's not reached a semi-final since. A lot of first-round exits there, which is surprising because Selby's kind of built up a reputation of being pretty unplayable on the BBC. It's not just a World Championship, but there was a period when it didn't matter if it was the Masters, if it was the UK, if it was the Worlds. He would typically either win the tournament or go very close. There's a season where he got to the final of all three, actually. He lost the 2013 UK Championship, the 2014 Masters, and then won the World Championship in 2014. So yeah, typically you kind of associate Mark Selby with playing really well at these events. But the Masters he struggled at for the past decade. But he's up against a player, Rob Milkins. This is his third time playing at the Masters. Starkly inexperienced compared to Mark. And he's not won a match yet. Although, you look at his past two matches, he's lost against O'Sullivan and he's lost against Robertson. And now he's up against Mark Selby. You only ever play the best at the Masters. It's never going to be an easy draw. But, you could argue it could be slightly kinder for him. Milkins has impressed. He's in the Masters fair and square. He had an unbelievable purple patch of form sort of February to March last year. He's acquitted himself pretty well this season as well. But, yeah, Selby's playing well. I think that this kind of curse that maybe he has around the Masters, that's going to end soon. So I can only see Selby winning, and I've gone for another 6-2 win for Mark Selby. Then completing the top half of the draw, we've got tie of the round, I'd say so. Mark Allen against John Higgins. This is actually going to be the 6th time these two have met at the Masters, which is quite a record really for two players meeting in an event where there's only ever 16 runners in it. The head-to-head in the Masters is 4 wins to Mark Allen, 1 to John Higgins, although Higgins won their most recent Masters tie. And 3 of those matches as well have gone to deciders. Really, really looking forward to this match. John Higgins, twice a winner here. Mark Allen's already won it once as well. The interesting thing about John Higgins is very similar to Mark Williams in the sense that both of them have 2 titles, but it's been a long, long time since their last win at this tournament. John Higgins, his last win was in 2006. And since then, he's also only reached one other final, which was a few years ago when he lost against Yan Bingtao behind closed doors. So yeah, again, something just doesn't click with this tournament for him. But it is an incredibly difficult tournament to win. We know that. Top 16 players in the world, everyone going for it. But when it comes to prediction time, Mark Allen, he's getting my fancy. Now, I kind of put the curse on him a little bit at the UK Championship. I predicted him to beat Ding Junhui, and I predicted him to reach the semi-finals of the UK, only for him to lose first round. So if I do the same, Mark, I'm really sorry. But, they played recently at the Champion of Champions. Mark won very convincingly, 6-2 in the semi-finals. I think this is going to be close, and I'm going to put it down for a decider again. But this time I'm going to put Mark Allen to come through 6-5. Now, going into the bottom half of the draw, we start off with another really great match. A repeat of the UK Championship final last month between O'Sullivan and Ding. And again, these are 2 players with plenty of experience at the Masters. They've played 4 times. Ronnie's won all 4. And probably most memorably was the 2007 final, where Ding was in tears. He almost walked out of the match early. O'Sullivan ended up winning 10-3. And when it comes to this match, this is all about Ding and his mentality for me. I said it in my review of the UK Championship. I was so impressed by Ding. Not only was he playing well, but he came through some really tough battles in that tournament. He had to edge past Mark Allen. He had to come through a real test with Mark Williams. He edged past the informed Judd Trump as well to get to that final. And even in that final, there were times when it looked like O'Sullivan was running away with it. And he kept pulling it back. So one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen from Ding came in that UK Championship. And this is another test of mentality for him, because playing O'Sullivan at the Masters is a whole different ballgame. Wherever you play O'Sullivan, you're going to expect the majority of the fans to be behind him. But at London, it's completely different. It's 95% of the fans are all behind him. They're very boisterous. It's a completely different atmosphere at Ali Pali than you get anywhere else. And you've got to stand up to that. You've got to stand up against not only the best player of all time, but 2,000, 2,500 fans that are all pretty much rooting against you. That's a lot of pressure to take. But what I am sort of buoyed by is Ding's mentality at the UK Championship. If he can bring that forward into this tournament, I think he's got a really good shot here. But my mind is saying another decider. You get a lot of deciders at this tournament. I'm going to go for another one here, and I want to say Ding, but my head is saying O'Sullivan is going to come through. So I've got to listen to my head. So I've gone O'Sullivan 6, Ding 5. Moving to the next match down the draw, we've got Neil Robertson against Barry Hawkins. A repeat of the final a couple of years ago, which Robertson won 10-4. They played another time at the Masters in the quarterfinals. Robertson won that as well. Now, if we're judging this match purely based on form this season, then Barry Hawkins you would back to win comfortably. And weirdly, the Australian probably comes into the match as an underdog, purely based on form. Hawkins won a tournament, has been in pretty good form throughout, really. Robertson, on the other hand, his form's just fallen off a cliff. And he's only in the top 16 based on how well he done 2 years ago. But money is going to start falling off for Neil. And he's in real danger of having to qualify for the World Championship. And he doesn't have many tournaments left to sort of stop that slope. Now, I've documented before, Neil Robertson is my absolute idol. I love that man. And I'm probably looking at this match with tinted glasses. But I'm kind of just thinking, it's a new year. It's going to be a new Neil. I think the time that he would have had back home in Australia would have really helped him. I'm not sure how much time he would have spent on the practice table. But I don't think his struggles in form have really been to do with his technique or his actual match play. It's just, he's expressed homesickness for a while. He's got that over with now. We know how talented he is. And this is a massive tournament for him. And I think he'll probably just be wanting to start fresh and really kick on for the second half of the season. So I'm going to back him. Probably that is being biased. There's no real evidence to suggest I should be backing Neil. But I am going to back him, and I'm going to say Robertson to win 6-3. And now let's look at the final two matches of the Masters draw, starting with Shaun Murphy up against the only debutant this year in Zhang Anda. And I'm going to talk about Zhang because I've just been so incredibly impressed with him. The surprise package of the season, the things he's been doing in recent months has been incredible. He's fully earned his right to play in this event. And we saw him as a seed for the first time at the UK Championship, and he took to that like a duck to water. But the Masters is a different kettle of fish altogether. But I think he's measured enough in terms of his temperament to deal with that, to deal with the sort of hostile environment that the Masters can create. And his game is in clearly very good nick. And it's up against Shaun Murphy, who, he won the very first tournament of the season at the Championship League. He hasn't really sort of kicked on in terms of consistency since then. Still playing well, but not quite getting the results to back that up. And he's definitely not as consistent as he was, say, last season. But, he's up against the likes of O'Sullivan, of Trump, Selby, Barry Hawkins, Mark Allen. So, it's very difficult to sort of repeat that performance again this season. Murphy, winner back in 2015. Sort of maybe a bit of a love-hate relationship with this tournament. But again, he'll be up for it. Very much like Judd Trump, he is just a born showman. He wants to please big crowds. He'll really get up for playing in front of such an atmosphere. And he'll have to start well, and he'll have to stamp his authority on the match pretty quickly, because if he doesn't, I think Zhang can potentially dictate the way the match is played. And Zhang's natural game is the polar opposite of Shaun Murphy. Murphy is quick, wants to get on with it, wants to score and sort of win frames very quickly. Zhang, although Zhang has improved tenfold in that area of scoring, he's very happy to take a more measured, slower approach. So this match for me feels very much on who can stamp their authority and get their style of play involved the quickest. And I'm going to back Murphy to do that. So in my head, I've gone for the 2015 champion to win 6-4. Then finally, we ironically have the tournament that's going to kick off the Masters on Sunday afternoon. The world champion Luca Brecel up against Jack Lisowski. From a neutral's perspective, this is the match that I am looking forward to the most. You've got just two of the most exciting players on tour playing against each other first round in front of a packed crowd. It's going to be an unbelievable match. You have to fancy that. In terms of records at this tournament, Jack Lisowski's, he's playing in the tournament for the fourth consecutive year, just demonstrating how consistent he's been over that period to continue to be in the top 16 despite not winning any tournaments. And last year he had a really good tournament up until the semi-finals, and then he just never got going. He got whitewashed by Mark Williams in that match. Luca Brecel, this is his fourth time at the Masters. He's only won one match here in his past 3 visits. But then look, he'd never won a match at the World Championship, and look what he done last spring. You can never write him off. I don't think it's been as good of a season for either of these players as they probably would have wanted. Luca started off pretty well, but has kind of fallen off a bit in the last few tournaments. Jack Lisowski, again, every now and then he puts in performances, he gets to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then drops off when he really doesn't need to. So this match is a massive match for both of them, a big chance for both of them to get through to the quarterfinals. I expect it to be fast. I expect it to be full of big breaks. I expect there to be some easy misses involved. I expect a decider, and I'm going to go with Jack Lisowski to edge it 6-5. So there we have it. That finalises all of my predictions for the first 8 matches in the last 16 of this year's Masters. Please write to me in the comments. Tell me, who do you fancy to win the tournament? Who do you fancy to win all of these matches? Go ahead and sort of give me your score predictions for the matches as well. If you get them all right, there's nothing I can give you other than, a nice congratulations. Any surprise packages, let me know in the comments. I love reading what you guys think about the snooker as well. And yeah, just enjoy it, whether you're watching it on TV. If you're going live to Ali Pali, I am so jealous of you. I can't get there this year, but I'm hoping to next year. But yeah, wherever you're watching it, enjoy it. It's going to be a feast of snooker for the next 8 days. And I'll be back to review the tournament next Monday. Cheers.